This week on AdoreThem.com, we are talking all about sleep. Baby sleep, kid sleep, parent sleep. And it's a topic that we wanted to touch on because if we're not sleeping, nobody's happy. And it's a tough thing. We need quality sleep. Our kids need quality sleep. But when it comes down to it, there's only so much we can do sometimes. So that's what this video is about. Some kids just don't sleep well. And I heard a piece of wisdom early on when my first son was a couple months old, and it was something that I desperately needed to hear at the time. He was this baby that, maybe slept 45 minutes at a time. And this was, I think 2 months in. And we were struggling. It was tough. He didn't sleep. He didn't nap. And this is something that Chris and I can definitely relate on. We relate on a lot of parenting topics, which is why we love working together and love running this website. But sleep is definitely one of them. We just don't have kids that sleep well. We just don't. And I wish I could remember where this phrase came from, but the phrase was that it was essentially how well your kid sleeps has more to do with their personality than it has to do with your parenting capabilities. And I needed to hear that because going into parenthood, I had this idea that my baby, if I kept a great schedule, if I did everything right, if I, was a good mom, my baby would essentially fall in line. That he would sleep well, he would take good naps, that we would have this wonderful routine and everything would be like clockwork. And to me, that was kind of my impression of a good mom. A good mom gets her baby on a schedule. My baby never, ever, ever got on a good schedule. My baby, it just didn't happen. And I blamed myself. And I needed to hear that some kids simply don't sleep well. And now at this point he sleeps well and everything turned out okay. He's a wonderful 7-year-old boy, and I can see a lot of his personality traits now linked back all the way to when he was a baby. There's a lot of stuff going on there, which is a whole other video. But looking back now, I can see why he didn't sleep well. My second son, there were medical reasons that he didn't sleep well. Reason being, he had ear infections all the time. His first winter as a baby, he had 8 ear infections in the span of a couple months. It was just back to back to back to back to back. Well, he's not going to sleep well if his ears are hurting him every time he lays down. He's just not. So he's not going to be a great sleeper. He's not going to get into good sleep habits. He's not going to learn those when he's young. And to this day, he's 4 years old. He's not sleeping through the night. He's just not. And, yes, there's days where I worry about what we need to do about that. We have taken, he has tubes in and, we've taken steps to try to remedy this. But at the end of the day, he's just not a great sleeper. Will he be someday? Hopefully. Are we doing things to try to help him create healthy sleep habits? Yes. But I've learned throughout this journey that it's really not a reflection on my parenting. I am amazed to this day when I hold someone else's baby and they fall asleep in my arms without me having to bounce them or I'm not going to nurse someone else's baby, but bottle feed them. Or, my kids would fall asleep if I was nursing them. They would fall asleep for a couple minutes maybe, or need a pacifier, absolutely. Or, my first son needed bounced around and walked around for forever to be able to fall asleep. So I'm amazed that I can hold, there's just babies that fall asleep when they're tired. They don't fuss. They don't scream. They just decide, I'm tired. I'd like to sleep now. So I'm telling you that there are babies out there that are wonderful sleepers. And there are babies out there that are not. And it's not a reflection on you. I promise. I would encourage you to look and see if there might be a medical cause behind it. Maybe there is. It's always worth checking. But there might not be. As with my older son, it might just be a personality thing. It might just be who they are. And I also want to touch on that some of these kids that are not good sleepers, they might need that extra help and comfort throughout the night. We co-slept with both of ours. I felt horribly guilty with the first one. With our first son, it took a long time for me to come to terms with co-sleeping, because it was the only way that any of us got more than a half hour of sleep at a time. Because by the time we put him down and all of that, he was awake again. And the one night I put him on my chest and I fell asleep, and we slept for hours together. And I said, okay, we need to figure out how to do this safely. So, there are ways that you can set up sleeping arrangements safely, which are safer than accidentally falling asleep on the rocking chair with them, or accidentally falling asleep on the couch because it's been 2 months and nobody's had enough sleep. You have to weigh those things. How can we do this safely so that everybody is getting some sleep? It's not safe to drive to work sleep deprived. It's not safe to care for your baby when you're that tired. And it's not healthy. It's not good for your emotional, mental or physical health, and it's not good for the baby's health either. So, I think that there are ways, letting you know that I co-slept with both of mine, and we also, Mateo was able to transfer to his own bed fairly easily, and we didn't have issues with that. On the flip side, Julian, the second one, he's still up. Like I said, he's 4 years old. He's still up a lot at night. And a part of it is he's just waking up a lot. And what am I going to do about that? And we'll let him come in and sleep with us, and then we'll move him back, if we wake up enough. But some nights he's in our bed with us in the middle of the night, because he's gotten smart that he knows that if he comes in and fusses and cries for us, that it wakes us up, and then we walk him back to his bed. So he's gotten sneaky, whereas if he's quiet and just climbs in without us knowing, we don't wake up. So he's been able to do that. But the other thing is, other stuff like not feeling well. There was one night where I was like, you know what, we're going to try this. We're just going to keep walking you back to bed. Keep doing it. We're going to super nanny this. And guess what? He ended up throwing up all over the place because he wasn't feeling well. Do you know how horrible I felt? That the reason he wasn't falling asleep and staying asleep was because he was sick. I'm like, oh. Or like I said, the ear infections. Or the other night I was laying with him and he says, I just hope I don't have any dreams tonight. And we talked about it. I said, have you been having bad dreams? He's like, yeah, they're really scary. Of course, if he wakes up from a horrible nightmare, he wants to climb in bed with us. That's not him being difficult. That's not him trying to manipulate us. That's him being genuinely scared. I've had nightmares where I've woken up genuinely scared and wouldn't want to have been by myself. I'm glad that I had my husband next to me. So I get it. I've been there. I'm okay that if you have a nightmare that you want to snuggle with mom and dad and get some reassurance. So I think there will come a day where he will be sleeping on his own. And I think, it's always something to kind of keep tabs on and making sure. With Julian, we were having a lot of like hyperactivity symptoms. Because he was so overtired, because he wasn't sleeping well enough, and that was because of the chronic infections, and being able to get ear tubes has helped with that, and lo and behold, helped the hyperactivity symptoms. So I do think you should troubleshoot. I do think you should pay attention to your kid and figure out what's going to be best. But I also want to reassure you that if your child is not sleeping through the night, all night, every night, in their own bed, at this time, XYZ, that it's okay. You're doing a good job. Parenting through the night, being there for your kids all night long, that's kind of part of it, right? Unfortunately, our job, we don't clock out from this. If they need us in the middle of the night, we should be there. And, we still lay with them to fall asleep. We'll sit in their bedroom as they fall asleep. It's something, that we know that it helps them. That helps them fall asleep and be reassured and know that we're there for them. We're okay with that. And so it's something to consider. If your baby sleeps, I'm not recommending that you have to do what we do. I didn't set out to co-sleep. I didn't set out to have a 4-year-old climbing into bed with us every single night. I didn't set out to, do these things. That's not what I'm saying. If your kid sleeps great, falls asleep on his own, has always slept in a crib, I think that's wonderful. And I think that's probably wonderful for you. And you have that extra time for yourself or for your husband or for whatever you want to work on. I think that's awesome. What I'm saying is, to the parents that are struggling with this nighttime stuff, whether your kid is, 5 months old or 5 years old, it will be okay. You're still doing a good job. You're putting in the work. As long as you're showing up for your kid and, just keeping an eye on things and doing what you need to do, everything is going to work out okay. Some kids don't sleep great. They just don't. Some kids don't nap well. My kids were never nappers. They napped some, but it's unheard of. I mean, to hear of like a 3-hour nap, are you kidding? Who are these kids? And they do it. My 4-year-old has friends that nap at school every day. I pick him up before nap time starts because I know how that would go. So, it's just interesting to see. Kids are just wired differently. So there's nothing, especially with sleep, you're never going to be able to force your child to sleep. Like most things, you're not going to be able to force them to sleep. It has to happen on its own terms. So if you can approach it from a calm, respectful, kind, gentle place, hopefully that induces better sleep for everyone. But yeah, there was a lot of rambling there, but essentially I want you to know you're not alone. You're not alone in your sleep deprived, feeling like a crazy person kind of state. And hopefully there will come a day, where those kids fall asleep and stay asleep and you can welcome them with hugs in the morning. But that being said, we have a ton of sleep advice on the website this week from a lot of great guest contributors. So I encourage you to head to adorethem.com to check all of that out. And otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye.